Greetings, mortals, and welcome. Please present your tickets for validation. Thank you. Your existence has been acknowledged, and you have been granted access every Thursday and Friday. You will be accompanying your guides, Krista and Brandy, along with a world-renowned guest. They will be exploring an intriguing tendril of what humans refer to as reality each week, as they strive to advance you further down the path to the truths of your physical earth and what lies on the other side. Remember to please keep your hands and feet in the vehicle at all times, and do not exit until the craft has come to a complete stop.
Hey, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
How you doing? How
I know
you?
I'm okay. I'm okay. It just seems like I'm never on anymore. It's, we understand that I've got things going on, but it's just so good to be here to just talk about something else.
Yeah, I get you. Let everybody know that Josh will be here shortly, and Joe Breezy is coming as our guest tonight, and he will actually be about 40 minutes late. So, but he will be here also. So, so you guys are stuck with Brandy and I for a little while until the rest of the
For a little while. Just for a little while.
Just for
it's not too bad. We're just waiting for a few more people to pop in before we start with our announcements and everything. And we're glad to see everybody. It's cool.
Yeah, our friend Aaron's is in chat, and JD Smooth, Kevin Bood, Werewolf, Maddie's in here, Jason Finch, Adam, Daryl, Crystal Cook, Gary Spikes, Martin Groves. There's all kinds of people. Man, there's
Crystal McGee, Amy Creel, Noon,
Michelle Cole. Gosh, there's a lot of people in chat. And Fisher of Spam, hello. I'm sorry, if we missed everybody. My computer refreshes. So that's why, honestly, I don't do that a whole lot. Thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Gary.
Because my computer refreshes and I can't see. I miss everybody.
Thank you, Tex.
Thank you, Tex. You know what I'm saying? So it's just.
I know. And sometimes for me, it just gets moving so fast. I'm like, where did it go? I was just looking at it. What happened? I don't know what happened.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, we definitely appreciate everybody being here tonight. We do have a few things to talk about. We have a lot been going on in both of our lives, mine and Brandy's. And, Brandy, for those of you that don't know, Brandy, I'll just let you tell everything and kind of what's going on with you.
Absolutely. If you don't know and you're just tuning in now, my mother had a stroke. She's been in the hospital for, it's been almost 2 weeks now. It's looking like maybe another 2 weeks before she'll get out. She's making progress. It's slow. It's like every, 2 steps we take forward, we take 1 back, but she's doing great. And hopefully we'll have her home on the 28th and be able to start living our lives differently, but the same, you know what I mean?
Right.
Just going to have to make minor adjustments, hopefully, and get that moving. But for my circumstances right now, I want to tell everybody that all of my events, conferences, and other things that I was doing for the month of May have now been canceled. I will not be attending anything. Unfortunately, this has to be done so I can be here for my mother. My brother, on the other hand, he is now home from the hospital. He is still a little weak, still a little bit tired, but he's doing better. So we have that going for us. But like I said, I'm needed at home, so I will be at home. So you're stuck with me.
Yeah. So we do have an event coming up this weekend, and it is at Ashmore Estates, and I will be there, of course. But
yes,
as you said, unfortunately, she can't. And family first. We always say that. So we're gonna miss Brandy this weekend. But you guys will still have a good time. I promise you. I promise.
Oh gosh, yes. Oh, with all those people there. Oh, if you don't have a good time, it's going to be your own fault.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
It's going to be definitely your own fault. And we do still have a few tickets left.
Yeah. Very few though. There's
right, very few left. If you still wanted to get a ticket, I'm telling you, if the Eventbrite closes down, which I don't know exactly when it's supposed to close down, Krista, tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Yeah, if it closes down tomorrow and you don't get into Eventbrite, email us at Blondes and Booze. And if we have any tickets left, we will just make up different arrangements, and you can pay a different way, except except not through Eventbrite. But if you still wanted to come and you waited till the last minute, forgot about it, whatever, we can still make arrangements if we have tickets left. So make sure you just email Blondes and Booze and let us know.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, honestly, there's only 2 tickets left. So if you guys can want to come, that's it. Anybody wants our last 2 tickets?
There's 2.
2.
Yeah, there's 2. Yeah, exactly. And like I said, if you don't want to ghost hunt, hey, that's okay. That's okay. We have, of course, Terry Mosby from CE5 out of Illinois. She'll be looking for some possible UAP or UFOs out there. We also have Barton Nunnelly and Letitia Nunnelly that will be there outside. And hey, it's great conversation, great story time if that's what you'd like to do. It's just a great time to be had by all.
Yep. So anyway, just to let everybody know, Brandy's missed a lot of shows here recently in the past couple of weeks. So as you guys all know, including, Texas Front Porch, the whole 9 yards. So, anyway.
And I just started work back full time this week. So it's been, extra stressful.
Right. And Pancho, I will get with you this weekend and we will get you your merch. Yes. I actually did see where you won that on Paranormal Roundtable. So
awesome. Yay.
Yeah, I will see you this weekend and we'll get it done for you this weekend. So anyway,
absolutely.
The next thing we need to talk about some Alabama.
You know what? As it stands right now, everybody, I will be in Alabama. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm working it out with my brother who lives in Michigan. He will, we're going to try and coordinate where he will be here for me when I will be gone. So it's going to be great. It's going to be the 7th and 8th of June. On the 7th of June, we are having a meet and eat at the Western Sizzlin there in Anniston. The room that we booked is already full, but hey, don't worry about that. Just come get your dinner. Doors will be open. Just come on in. We're not going to turn anybody away. But on the 8th, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., we have some great speakers available that are going to be there all day on hand. So I know that at some of these conferences, some of these speakers, you have to wait in a line and you only get to sign a picture or whatever. No, we're going to be around all day to talk to everybody about everything. So those speakers are going to be Bigfoot Michigan Rob, Martin Groves, Greg Ogles, Jason McLean, of course, us, the Blondes and Booze, Daryl Denton, Barton Nunnelly, and the MC for the day will be Tex Wesson. So like I said, we're going to be there and, we're going to be totally accessible. I promise.
Oh yeah. Heck yeah. It's going to be a great time. I'm really looking forward to Alabama. Last year, was our first year in Alabama. And we actually spoke last year at that conference and it's just a good time. There's some great people and we just had a great time. So we're going back and Alabama's actually a very pretty state. I didn't realize that. And it really is, especially where the conference is, they got the big hills and,
Yeah, it is super beautiful all the way around there. It's just beautiful.
Yeah. Yep. Sure is. So anyway, tomorrow night I'm going to be MIA because I will be at Ashmore State. So you guys will be stuck with Brandy and Bigfoot Michigan Rob's going to come on and talk about some encounter stories. And then Paranormal Paul is going to be Krista tomorrow.
Yes. He's going to be Krista. We're going to have to put some glasses on and his wig on and we'll have it licked.
Right. And
we're just going to, because, Rob always has these fantastic encounter stories. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about some encounter stories and everything. And he didn't tell me if it was Dogman, Bigfoot, or any other cryptid or nothing. He didn't tell me nothing. It could even be paranormal. Who knows? So everybody just tune in tomorrow and we'll all find out together.
Yeah. Yep. And it says, will the conference be streamed or recorded? DCG asked. I don't believe so. So
no.
If you're in the Alabama area, I highly suggest come in to see it. Because, I mean, honestly, Brandy and I, we always go live from everywhere we're at. So there will probably be some lives like that. But, you know, that's about as much as we can give you.
Yeah. Because, you know, we just don't know. Because we're helping with a lot of things with this conference. So you never know what we're going to be doing at the time. So, but we will be live at different times showing you what's going on and maybe a couple speakers, you know, for a few minutes or, you know, you just never know.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. And then I think it's May 31st. We have, we're doing a kickoff on Blondes and Booze for the Alabama conference. And a lot of our friends and speakers that's are going to be coming on the show. We're just going to talk about it. And I know Greg Ogles he's in chat and he has confirmed with me. But so that's going to be fun too. It'll be a fun show.
Right. So you get like a pre-conference. That's going to be awesome. Just do a little pre-conference.
So not going to the conference, that'll be a good one to tune into because everybody will be on, you know.
Right. So, and you know, the great thing is we generally like each other. So that helps.
Right. That's the thing. All of us, seriously, on the conference, on the show bill, I guess, whatever you want to call it, we on the flyer, we're all truly friends in true life. So it works out really well.
Yeah, it makes a conference even more fun, you know.
Yep, it does. It does.
One other thing that I wanted to talk about tonight, before we get started, is hey, we are 38 subscribers away from 3,000 as of right now. So if you have not subscribed, let's do this tonight. Let's make 3,000 tonight. I need 38 subscribers, and that's it. That's it for tonight. 38. That's it.
In other words, Brandy's saying, if you haven't subscribed to us, please do. Brandy, do you have it on subscribers mode?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was going to say, if not, you're slacking.
No, I do. First thing when I pop in, bing. And you know, even if you go out of chat and into chat, you'll notice it's a subscribers only mode. You know, because we like our people in chat, and we don't like these weirdos coming in saying stuff. So that's why we keep it subscribers only.
Yeah. You know what? Here's the way we look at it too. You know, if you're going to troll us, by golly, you're at least going to be subscribed to us.
Yeah, you're going to give us a view. But see, that's just me and Krista.
Right.
We laugh about it. Yeah, you could talk about us, but you're going to have to talk about us over there, but you're going to have to give us a view. That's all there is to it.
Yep. But it's true, you know. JD Smooth says, ladies, I have a ghost story you ladies would love. I don't know if Barton's told you. Now, Barton did tell me he had been talking to you, JD. If you want to email us and, you know, maybe even come on the show, love to have you. So, absolutely.
Oh, thank you, Crystal.
Yes, thank you, Crystal.
Yeah, we would love to have you. I mean, I love, you know, when you're sitting there and you're just talking to people and somehow, some way, everyone I'm talking to, it goes either to cryptids, UFOs, or the paranormal, you know. Right. And then you start hearing these stories and you're like, but you've never said anything about liking the paranormal or having any experiences. But all of a sudden you're like, okay, I like you.
Right.
I like you, you know, and it's fun to hear everybody's stories, and we love to hear them. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you have anything or any type of stories, just make sure you email us at blondesandbooze@gmail.com and let us know.
Yeah. And honestly, anybody out there, you know, who would be interested in coming on the show, just let us know. Thank you, Erin. We love you too. I'll be seeing you.
Thank you. Love you.
Yeah. I'll be seeing her this weekend too. She's coming to our event, her and Aunt Betty. So, but yeah. It's like there's so much going on, but you know, unfortunately, I can't do any of it right now, and I'm kind of bummed. But you know,
because I'm missing out. I'm really missing out on a super big trip this year. And, I'm just,
Yeah. You were supposed to go to Texas again this month.
Yes, I was supposed to go back to the Haunted Hill House. Last year kind of blew me out of the water with that place, because the paranormal activity was so extensive that I actually had to walk outside a couple times just to breathe from it, because it would hit hard and heavy. And then I'm just like, you know what, I've got to quit. And it was more than just like 15 minutes. I mean, this stuff would be going on 30, 45 minutes. And then it would take a lull, and you're just like, there's just too much going on. There is just too much going on. And I really wanted to go back again and experience it, again, and try to find some type of answers, and I was really excited, and maybe we'll do it another time. Maybe we'll hit it another year. So, but that is from, of course, After Dark Paranormal, and part of that team we're going, which is part of Terry Mosby, and it's just, it's sad.
That too, we will be going live from Ashmore, and if I can't get the Wi-Fi to work, my phone has good service anyway out there, so I will be doing some lives. I believe Paranormal Paul is going to go live. I talked to Barton Nunnelly. I think he's going to be doing some lives from out there. So plenty of us are going to be going live. So if you guys could be there, that way too. So keep an eye and make sure you're subscribed to all three of those channels. Us, Barton, and Paranormal.
Oh, yeah. And even though I won't be there, I'm going to kind of be there, because I'm going to try to hop in on all of these things that they're doing and see if I can't at least take a peek myself.
And then our friend Terry, she actually has one of the God's helmets, and she is going to bring that. So we'll probably do some lives with her doing that, and that kind of thing. So it's going to be a good time. Keith from 1675 says, Blondes and Booze, have y'all had video segment on Nuke's top 5?
No.
Nope.
I would like to do top 5 somewhere. on something good, I'm just saying something good, nothing bad. I don't want to be a top 5 annoying people or something. I'm just saying.
Yep. And then Sherry Porter says, I thought Barton didn't do haunted places. He actually doesn't. He's going to hang out outside around the fire, so people can go join him, and he can tell some of his encounters that he gets and things like that to attendees. So yeah.
All right.
And then Kevin says, I've had encounters in Greenville, Missouri. It's a hot spot. Never knew. Saw 2 deers jump off a 200-foot cliff into the river right in front of me in the daylight. Wow. And that's where Poncho Zorge had his Dogman encounter, Kevin. So
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, right there in the Mark Twain National Forest. Yep.
Yeah.
I keep saying it over and over and over again. There is some weird stuff happening out there. Thank you, Shelley.
Yes. Thank you.
When I heard that story from Poncho, I'm kind of like, yeah, I believe it, because there has been some odd instances of things happening up there. I think it was around in that area, a little farther west of there, but there was a hunter who was found dead out there, and he was out hunting. He didn't have his orange on anymore. It was stripped off. Correct. He didn't have his gun anymore. It was gone.
And what hunter walks away and leaves their gun? That doesn't happen.
No one. So, and they're trying to say that he slipped and fell in the water and died of hypothermia. No. And then he was out there.
Body, didn't they? They did find his body, correct?
They did find his body. He was out there with his son. And they hunt there every year. So I understand there is that minute chance that you may get lost in the woods. I get it. Because things do change and you may get turned around. But that man's been hunting there for years with his son. But his son couldn't find him.
Yeah, that I could think of, that maybe, he might have had a stroke or a heart attack and got kind of delusional, maybe. That would be
No. They said that he died of hypothermia. and it was 50 degrees. It was 50 degrees outside. How is that man going to die of hypothermia?
Unless
I'm
he
just
got
saying.
wet. Unless he was wet, that would get him. But wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. They did an autopsy on him. He didn't die of natural causes, say, heart attack or anything else. Nothing.
Yeah. So that area it's just a lot of weirdness down there. A lot of I think there's a lot of underestimated states out there that have the weirdness happen that you don't hear about, and you think,
Right.
like for instance, okay, just say you hear about Ohio all the time. However, would you think, like I've been to Ohio and I wouldn't think, like it's a hot spot, but it is,
It is. Yes, it is.
Your typical, Washington, Oregon, places like that. But there's a lot of underestimated states out there that have a lot of activity.
Well, because we're sitting here and we're talking about the Mark Twain National Forest. We're talking anywhere from Greenville and then on over. But, what people don't know about Missouri is Piedmont has had documentaries made about it from UFO sightings.
Mm-hmm.
And you can find them on YouTube. They're out there. And it's on a certain bridge. I haven't found that bridge yet, but I need to find it. But people go out there to the bridge and then see these UFOs all the time.
Right.
And I'm like, are you kidding me? So we're looking at Bigfoot, dogmen, UFOs, and I went out to Piedmont one time. I was out there just investigating around, checking out the town, and it's not a big town at all. It's a very small town, and I'm checking it out, and I'm looking around, and I'm just seeing what's happening, see what's going on. Mm-hmm. I find a crystal shop in this little itty bitty town. And I'm kind of thinking, why would they have crystals in this itty bitty town that is not, for number one, it's not a go-to place for vacations. I mean, they do have some camping out there, but it's not a real big go-to place.
Yeah.
And I was trying to figure that out. I'm like, that just seems odd to me that this is out in the middle of nowhere in this little itty bitty town. And I'm thinking, well, to each his own. I mean, there must be something to it.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Tyrone says City Hall in Cincinnati haunted.
Interesting. Okay.
It could be. Now, let's just move back. Now, it was back in the 1970s where a tornado hit Xenia, Ohio, and that is right outside of Cincinnati. It's not too far from Cincinnati at all. And I don't know. I think they collected at an EF4, but this thing stayed on the ground for hundreds of miles, which is unheard of. But it's hundreds of miles that this stayed on the ground. My grandparents were actually living in Xenia and lost their complete house to it. My grandfather was working for GM at the time, and he was at work, and my grandmother was at home. And that tornado hit, and so many people had passed away from that tornado and stuff. So do I believe that whole region could be haunted? Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely. There's a lot of stuff going on around there in Cincinnati too. Of course, I haven't been downtown Cincinnati in a long time, but I thought it was really cool down there because it used to be, I'm going to say used to be because I don't live there or seen it lately, but it used to be very clean and you could walk the streets during the day and go shopping and all the shops were open and all that kind of good stuff. But it's
absolutely. It's pretty interesting. There's just a lot of weirdness in our world for sure. And those who have just hopping in, we appreciate everybody hopping in and being with us, spending your Thursday evening with us. And Josh Wolf will be on, and as well as Joe Breezy. Joe is running he was running about 45 minutes late, and Josh will be in shortly. He's had a busy day today, he told me. But he'll be here. Anyway, wow.
JD Smooth says I wasn't missing anything in Cincinnati. Probably not anymore. Most of, the inner cities now have gone,
Yeah.
I like my little patch in the country. I like it.
Me too. I don't know. There's, we talked about this not too long ago too, about people, things happening like we just spoke about the hunter down in your area. There was the Amazon guy over in outside of Richmond, Missouri, which is
right
near the Kansas City side. There's just, a lot of weird.
Well, and then we have our own Bigfoot encounter at, outside of Springfield, Missouri. So there's tons. You just wouldn't think. But every map that I've looked at, honestly, in Bigfoot sightings and reports, Missouri is one of the top states.
Yeah, I believe it, because we have a lot of rural here. We really do. I mean, Kansas City and St. Louis are big cities, but there's, I know, a few bigger cities, but not big.
Right. Well, even speaking of St. Louis, down there by the arch, running along that river, they've had dogmen sightings.
Dogmen right there at the arch. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's just weird to me.
Well, let me bring this up, because I ran across an article and I posted it on Blondes and Booze, and Chris, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but I posted it. But St. Louis used to be called Mounds, Missouri, because they had several burial mounds in the St. Louis area. And one of the biggest one of them was located by the arch.
Interesting.
And they used to call St. Louis.
That's not Cahokia Mounds, which is right across the river, right?
No.
Okay.
Nope. I posted it in Blondes and Booze, and I can't remember all of it right now. But yeah, St. Louis used to be called Mounds, Missouri.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah. I thought it was a crazy little article. I said, oh,
yeah.
Now, how much of that is true or not, you can't believe everything. But I thought it was kind of cool and noteworthy.
Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. And yes, Pancho, Josh will be here. He's had a busy day, but I did talk to him via text here just a little bit ago, and he'll be here. And as well as Joe Breezy. And we actually met Joe Breezy at the Dogman Conference.
We did. We did.
We met a lot of great people at the conferences. We have.
That's why I'm just bummed about missing this weekend. I mean, there's even more people that are coming to the event, and I don't get to go. And I'm like, I want to pout. I want to pout.
Yeah.
But that's really the main reason Krista and I go to these conferences and things. It's for number one, it's just a lot of fun. For number two, it's to meet all of you, and it's kind of nice to put a face to the YouTube handle, And sometimes if you're to email us and say this is so and so, we'll have no idea who you are. So make sure you include your name and your YouTube handle.
Right.
Especially if they're different. Different, because we are like, do you know who that is?
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah. It's been fun. It's been great. That's why, like Brandon said, we like doing these events and, things like that. And, and the events that we do ourselves, like, we raise money for historic preservation, and because our old buildings, that's our history. That's part of our history. And these doors got to stay open, to preserve our history. There's taxes, there's, repairs and insurance and, things like that has to be paid that, it just.
Yeah, because, especially if these properties are privately owned. I mean, most generally, if they're open to the paranormal and things like that, nobody lives in them. So they have to still pay all the taxes and everything on that, and basically use it as a business. Yeah, it's a business.
Right.
So
yeah. So
but it also helps them.
We do enjoy doing these, and to meet everybody, and we do it for a good cause. We feel we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And I think it's a good cause. All these places, these monuments. I mean, it's all part of our history, like it or not. it's not going anywhere. It is who we are, as a country. Hey, Josh, how are you?
Good. I am super duper busy. Thank you to everybody who's been praying for my business partner. He's going into rehab today, and he's doing a lot better. But I don't know, man. I'm having to take on more responsibility, which is fine. I'm used to it. I'm used to it. Joe Breezy, what's going on, my friend?
Hey.
So I want to apologize to everyone right now, just on the show. Everybody knows how I am, and they know that I'm perfect. I am. I'm perfect. Like the ice cream I got the other night when I was Pastor Jack. I am a perfect guy, but every now and then, even though I'm perfect, I do make mistakes. And I made a mistake. We had Breezy booked 2 weeks, and then Jill was supposed to be this week, but then apologies to Jill Remmenstadt. I already talked to her and told her I'm sorry, I screwed up.
No worries.
She was shocked, not about not being on the show, but about me screwing up. So then she was like, I can't believe that could happen. I said, I blame Kristen, Brandy, and Joe too.
There you go.
Myself. But what happened was Jill was supposed to be this week, and then next week was Daniel Jones, and then Breezy. But then we got it all screwed up. So you know what? Breezy got bumped up, and so Jill's going to go at the end of the month, and then we got next week we got Daniel Jones. So we got a good lineup going.
Awesome.
You're probably having some internet issues from the storm, man. The storm really bad over there.
Usually Joe has good service. I got to show you this though. Amy Creel said PRT needs to have a limited edition cult member shirt printed for its members.
My guy over at Seven Clay, shout out to him. He told me, his name is Josh too. He says, you guys are always talking about being a cult. Oh, we lost Joe. He'll probably be back.
Yeah,
We just had a bad storm.
Gotcha.
And so he said, you know what? We need to come out with a cult shirt. When I said it, it might be a little too much because then they're like, he's telling on himself. They always do that. They get all
right.
They say I'm telling on myself, like I'm over here. Soft disclosure, we're a cult,
Oh, let's just do it anyway.
Yeah, let's just do whatever we're gonna do.
I mean, what's people gonna do about it? Nothing.
Yeah.
Just nothing.
They gnash their teeth and be angry. That's all they do.
Right.
Exactly, and that's different from any other day. How?
Yeah,
it's not.
It's another day. Somebody made a comment about the another cat or whatever, and I just said, you know what? I'm done. I'm just doing my thing. I can't control what other people do. I wish everybody the best, but I got to do what's best for us. What's best for PRT.
Absolutely.
I can't. I see other people getting embroiled in conflicts and stuff like that, and I'm just like, you know what? They asked me my opinion, and I'm just like, I don't even want to give an opinion now. I just want to stay to myself and do what I got to do because the paratroopers, they need us, and so I got to do what I got to do for my people.
Yeah. Tex says, "Hey, it's no worse than having a voodoo priest as a mascot."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And now I got another person doing voodoo on me. And I said, you're late to the party. You better stand in line. I got a lot of voodoo people coming after me.
Says OPR says, does that mean Tex is the cult leader? Actually, no. We were told. I think Shade Viking is.
Yeah, Shade Viking is our leader.
Shade Viking is our cult leader.
Yeah, I'm the figurehead. Apparently, under him, Abe is one of the false prophets, and then we have a few other false prophets going on, doing things, whatever they're doing.
Yeah, it just. It's
Crystal J says we drink the Kool-Aid.
It's delicious. There's a guy that has a show. I don't want to get into it. People might take it the wrong way. I don't want to get into it. Anyways, I got some friends that do other shows that aren't, paranormal related, whatever, and they watched my show and they're like, dude, welcome to the club. The growing pains, I guess in this community, I've been attacked probably as much as anybody's ever been attacked. But those guys, though, they have one of them has a political channel, and the hate is unbelievable. He was sending me stuff, and let's put it this way: he's a black conservative, so the hate is real. Like it is super duper. It's like I guess they feel like because he's a conservative that it's okay to attack him in every which way, even racially, and it's like unbelievable. The way people will just they pick and choose what they feel like is okay, and it makes your toes curl. Some of the things he was sending me, I was thinking, "Damn, I feel tame now."
Right.
I told him I was like, "Thanks for that." He's got a big show too. Like everybody knows who he is, and I said, "Man, I feel better now knowing that."
Oh yeah,
All
absolutely.
I do is laugh about it. I can't do anything else. It's just kind of like, if you have to take your time out of your life to come over here and say bad things, well, you're just going to have to say bad things over there because you're not coming over here. It's just, that's it. You're just, whatever.
It goes back to where, like putting our chat on subscribers only mode. If you're going to troll us, you're at least going to be subscribed and give us a view. That's all I'm saying,
Donnie Cho says, no one makes fun of me for being Asian, and frankly, I'm a little disappointed. Well, just, you know what, Donnie? Keep pushing. And if you keep pushing and you tell the truth, people will become angry. One of my friends told me the other day, he's a business guy, and I've known him for years, and he's a real estate broker. I mean, like, he sells like massive amounts of commercial property. And we had dinner the other day, and he told me, he says, man, he said, the truth is like poison to people.
Yeah.
They're like throwing it up. They don't want to take it. They don't want to hear it.
Right.
It's unbelievable, man. It is unbelievable. The truth is just they don't. It's like a virus that they don't want to accept. They're like, oh, but the truth is, the hate that they have is the real virus.
Right. Right.
They're so worried about the truth coming and hitting them.
Yeah.
Joe, what are you doing, man? What's going on? You gonna
figure it out? I switched it from 2G over to 5G.
Wow.
That's the storm. It looks like a tornado over here.
Oh, that storm was horrible.
Well, do you need to
Yeah,
take
trees are
over
down.
instead of be on the show?
It's
Just cover your head.
I would pick the day when there's this massive storm that shook my house to the point I woke up from the storm shaking my house. And then that's the day I'm like, hey, Joe, I need you to come on. This is the day the storm just completely just took a dump.
Well, sure, Josh. I don't have a home or anything, but I still got my cell phone. I'll be there.
Go to your car. Like, the guy that's doing the remodel on the house we're getting out in Lago, that he couldn't even make it out. He's in Cedar Creek over there near Joe. And I've known this guy for over 20 something years, but he messaged me today, and he's a workaholic like me. He's like, man, I can't make it out there. I'm stormed in. I said, yeah, I know. So out here in the West, it's pretty bad, but it was not as bad as the East where Joe's at. So I can only imagine how bad it was over there because people were floating over here. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I was sitting in the dark at work for 2 hours. Just sitting there with no car, nothing, just hold down forward, And I actually had a paranormal experience when the power went out. I went outside. I was going to go outside because, when you just sit in the dark. So I went outside to go smoke a cigarette. And so where I work is like an old house. It's just like a regular house. It's not like it didn't have like screen doors or shocks, armor, or anything like that. It's just a regular door. And I went outside to go smoke a cigarette. I was closing the door behind me.
Yeah, Joe. Man, Joe, it is
Joe,
so bad. Your feed is so bad. It is very bad. We can't hear what you're saying, man.
Does he want to maybe call in?
You want to call in? You want to try to call in on your phone? And you can just
let me try to use my phone. Maybe that'll do better.
I was going to say, if he wants to try that way, or I can give him my
log in on your phone.
So
log in on your phone.
Yeah,
try that.
Yeah.
He might get better cell service than he's getting Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I know sometimes that works for me. Going through storms, it's just awful here.
It's been a lot of storms lately, man. All spring, it's just been storming.
Yeah.
All across the country, and they're just like, it's just normal or something. This isn't normal.
No.
Well, they're forecasting the end of May to be just as bad as it's been, weeks prior. So it's supposed to be wild.
So Memorial Weekend, maybe that might be a good thing because I'm shorthanded and they want me to start this pool that's always crazy, cuckoo bananas. And I'm like, man, I told Anthony today, I was like, maybe it'll storm then and we don't have to do it. Because there's not enough money in it to make it worth it. It's just a pain in the ass. So
right.
They're clients. You got to do what the client wants. The client wants you to be there. You got to be there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So hopefully Joe will be able to come back on through phone.
I can tell a ghost story in the meantime. I got something.
Do it.
Yes.
So I have a ghost story, and it actually comes from St. Louis because you
Awesome.
guys are from Missouri. I thought I'd tell you. So this one
Wow.
comes from Martha G. And
Okay.
she messaged me. This was about a week ago, and it was pretty compelling. So I thought, this is interesting. She had, when Monica was on the show, she was talking about the oubliette from Lee Castle. And one of the things that I remember reading about that a long time ago, what the oubliette is, folks, in case you don't know, it's where it's a French word. It's like basically it doesn't translate to English, just like chateau. There's no real word for it in English or whatever, but it translates to basically a place of forgetting. And so in the castles, these nobles, when you made them mad, they would take you and they would throw you in the oubliette, and you would be forgotten. And everybody was ordered to just forget about you. So people would party and have drinks and live their lives while you just died slowly from starvation and thirst. Most people died of thirst because you can go further without food than you can water. But some people would hang on for a while, and then they would make it even crueler by actually giving them water and then letting them starve. So there were things like that, that they did, and they pulled out bunches of bodies out of this particular castle that she was talking about. And then we talked about the other one from not Romania. It was Hungary. No, Czech Republic. My bad. It's called Huska or something like that. But I read about that one too, and I couldn't remember the name of the little goblin gremlin things. I had it last night while I was running my patrol. I remembered it out of the blue, and I blurted it out, and everybody's like, "Whoa, why'd you just blurt that out?" And I'm like, because there was a name that they called these gremlins, and I said it wrong on the show, on last Friday's show. But what these things are these like vampiric little duende-looking creatures.
Yeah.
Hey, Joe, that looks better. You're doing better.
Yeah.
And so, how is the sound?
Every now.
Still kind of choppy.
Yeah.
Can you speak?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
I might just be toasted with this thing. That storm probably has one of the AT&T towers are out or something.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear him now. Now
We can hear
I
you
can
now.
hear him now too. Well, hang in there. Just let it, as we say, warm up. Mine seems like it has to warm up. We'll hear the rest of Josh's story, and then we'll see if he's good to go then.
So what happened with this lady, she went to a castle in Scotland, and I don't have the notes right in front of me because I wasn't planning on telling it, but I can give the name tomorrow when I look through this pile of mail. But I had it written down on a paper, which I do not know where that's at because I was not prepared for today at all. So much going on. We're trying to get moved. We're trying to get our stuff together so we can get, so I had to do a remodel of a house. That's what we're doing right now so we can move into it because it's nice. Definitely it's got something there too. I told my wife, I was like, did you feel it? She's like, yeah, I did. I feel it.
Wow.
So there's definitely something in that house, but I don't think it's as malevolent as what we've dealt with here.
Yeah.
I believe the people who here before were doing something,
Right.
So what ended up happening, this woman, she goes to this castle in Scotland and nothing happens to them there. When they come back from vacation, she goes back to work or whatever, and she takes a picture. A friend of hers took a picture on her phone, and they see this black cloaked, shadowy looking thing sitting over her shoulder, over her left shoulder.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, and it was right around Halloween. So they thought, you know what? It's not a ghost or whatever. It's somebody in a costume because it's very visible. Right. And so she sends me the picture, which I do not have on me. Like I said, I'll have to find it, but it's very compelling. I don't mess with pictures usually because everybody's going to argue and say they're fake. And then there's the AI thing. So policy we made years ago, Paranormal Roundtable group, people can post pictures, but we at Paranormal Roundtable do not because I don't want to be responsible for some kind of controversy. I saw somebody getting attacked, one of our friends, for a picture that he posted. And I'm just like, that is why we don't do it. So forgive me for that. I don't, but anyway, you can see that there's something shadowy there behind her. And so she said that Leap Castle, there you go.
Okay.
But that's not the one. I believe that's in Ireland. But so this one was in Scotland, I believe. So what she said was that they were, like had a good time or whatever. But when they went back to the hotel, when they got back to Glasgow, that there was something weird. And then they went from there back to London. They went all the way back to London, and it followed them, whatever it was. And it was something that she saw in the mirror when she stood up, to get out of bed. She saw something standing there in the mirror that looked like it had a snout, but she thought it was like a person wearing a mask, but it had a hood on. So she couldn't see any ears. It was just like this, like just a cowl on its face. And I thought that could be anything, it could be anything at all. And it was black. It had like a snout, and she said she couldn't tell whether or not it was a canid or some sort of hoofed animal, because she only saw it from the waist up, and it was very brief. But then the picture shows up when they took the picture in the building she works at in St. Louis, and they took a picture, and it was behind her. So she says she goes home, and then every night after that for like 2 weeks, she was having this recurring dream that this weird-looking creature was like crawling. It was kind of creeping with its hands out in front of it, and like a ghoul, and would go to her bed, pulling on the covers and trying to harass her. So she started tucking herself into the bed, and then she'd wake up and the covers would be, she's like, I'm not a tosser when I sleep. I don't toss. She'd wake up, the covers were undone. And then it culminated with her waking up and looking over to her right. And there was this creature, and she could smell this fetid, rotted flesh smell coming from its breath. She says the eyes were completely white, and it had these big, sharp, canid-looking teeth, and that's when she knew that it had to be a canid. It wasn't, when she first saw it, she didn't know whether it was like a hoofed animal or a canid or what it was. It had its mouth closed. So she asked me the question. She's like, could this be a dog man? I said, I don't know. It's definitely another nighttime visitor, very similar to what our colleague and friend Nick Redfern claimed to have seen. And his account, I believe he put it in Anomalous Universe or Mysterious Universe, one of those two he wrote for. And so he told me that he thinks that that his encounter, was real, but it was of an ethereal kind, like a phantom, Yeah. And so when I had Ken on the phone, me and Ken Garrett were both talking to him, and he was going over this encounter, and he was telling us about it. We just listened. But I knew that what he was saying, was this is a very real phenomenon, because this has happened to people a lot. And so I told Nick, I said, can I put that in my book? And he says, yeah. And so he gave me the story to tell or whatever. And it's in my book, Werewolves and the Dogweed Phenomena. But what do you guys think? What are your thoughts? She said after that, she called in a priest. She's not Catholic, but her sister is married to a guy who's Catholic. And they came in, and they blessed it, and they said some prayers. And she said since then it's been working. But then she had a couple incidents where she felt like something grabbed her ankle going up the stairs. So I told her, this is St. Benedict. I said, get you a St. Benedict and hang it. And she did. Since then, she's hung one in every room. She doesn't have a real big house. She said it's about 1,500 square foot. She lives with her husband. Her children are all grown. Yeah. And she said that she's hung it in every room. So it wasn't like a big, deal to get them. And there's been no more problems. So that was like 2 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah. She thinks that it moved on. The energy is gone. But it could have followed someone, because one of the people that came over to talk to her, for her friend who brought a psychic over before the cleansing, and was telling them what to do about the cleanse, whatever. She said that she had been being harassed by this, whatever it was. Wow. One day she was at the grocery store there in Missouri, and the town she lives in, which is right outside of St. Louis. And she was going to open one of the doors to get like some ice cream. It was like a freezer. And she saw the image of this creature behind her, fitting the description. Wow. The only time she saw it, but then it was out in public, and it followed her to the freaking grocery store.
So, that's scary. Well, go ahead, Brandy.
I was just going to say, because she's staying diligent about, keeping things at bay. I guess basking in the light in her home. She's trying to keep up with God's word and everything in the home. So this thing can't get into her home, but she's got it out of the house, but it doesn't stop them from following her.
Yeah, her friend.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And the psychic told her that it had attached to her friend. And so ever since then, her friend has been seeing, or not seeing it, but has had visions of it, like waking visions, but nothing with her own eyes. And she's had bad dreams. It still persists to this day. And that was almost 2 years ago.
Wow. That's scary. Scary stuff.
Well, they say that it can change your appearance after a while. That's been clinging on for so long. It's like, we talk about energy vamps and things like that. It can just suck the life essence right out of you. It can age you very quickly. And I'm thinking if she hasn't seen her friend, she might want to go see her friend and look at her really close.
Right.
Yeah.
And, here's the thing too, like, I know, like you said that she had somebody come in and cleanse her house. I know if it's not done properly, it's not
exacerbates it.
Right.
Yeah. And then sometimes it takes more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there could be a lot of different things. I mean, if she's in St. Louis, honestly, and she's got stuff going on, you can give her our contact number. We'd be happy.
Yeah. I'll tell her to give it to her friend because nothing's happening to her now.
Yeah.
Her friend kind of took it with her. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah.
But she hasn't had anything happen. Now, she did say that her daughter, one of her older daughters had come over, and she had a bad dream. And that's when she decided to do the St. Benedict thing on my advice.
Yeah.
That's just what I do, folks. I don't know if it's a foolproof thing, but let me ask you, Joe, we've talked about these things a lot. If your sound is working, what would you do with this situation?
My go-to is always Christ.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's just because when it comes to the saints and stuff.
Oh man.
Darn it.
I think his whole signal is toast.
It is. Let me message him and we can try to get him back on another day.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I would like to thank, while we're waiting, Werewolf, also Two Shadows, and Nathan. Thank you so much.
Yes. Appreciate you guys. Yeah. And if he wants, I mean, he can call too, and I can put the phone up, and we've done that before too. But if we want to reschedule him, he can absolutely come on anytime. He's welcome anytime.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's, Of course, it has to be the night with the...
I was on your show one time, Josh, and Joe was on there. He's just a wealth of information, and
he is. He'll be with me tomorrow night on the show, if God willing, the storm.
That you don't have another round 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but totally understand. It's a bummer.
Well, it happens. I had to do a show with no lights on.
Yeah. And if he wants to just come on through the phone, give him my cell number, and I can, do it that way too. So whatever he wants to do. If he wants to reschedule, that's okay too. Liberty, thank you very much too. As we always say, we have the best people in chat. You guys are definitely friends.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can get him back on at least something. I was hoping that his phone would at least do better.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll be right back, folks. I got to do something for work. I'm doing double duty here.
Yeah, do what you gotta do.
Okay, no problem. But I am thinking about that. I mean, because we have talked about it. Just because you go in and you cleanse the house, that doesn't mean that it's gone.
No.
You may have quieted it for just a moment.
Yeah.
And then, once it gains its strength back up, then it'll be right back in there. So you have to stay diligent in whatever's working for you.
It's the same thing like we talk about all the time. It's also, like you can have someone come in and cleanse your house. Yes, you can. You can have people do that all day long. However, if it's not done properly, it could backfire. And another thing is, like this person, to me, it's all about intention. And that's the same thing with prayer. That is the same thing with cleansings. all of that. You have to mean the words that you're saying for it to work.
Yeah, absolutely. I did see a meme the other day, and it kind of made me laugh because I'm like, yeah, this is a perfect example of it not being done right. It says, when you sage your house, but the demons are running in circles because you don't have a window open. And I'm like, that's a perfect example of not doing a cleansing right. I just thought it was funny. I guess
Yeah.
you gotta take that humor.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sugar.
Maddie has a question. She says, what types of entities are the hardest to get rid of? You want to answer? Thank you, Sugar.
Honestly, I mean, we can talk about demonic entities all day and all night long, but I mean, I'm talking about them grumpy old nasties are difficult.
That we're human spirit and human form.
Yeah, I think those are the worst, only because they like to do stupid stuff, knock things over and just harass you, period. As we've talked about before, demonic entities, they want your soul. So they're going to be nice.
At first.
At first, they're going to be nice, but those grumpy old souls, boy, they just don't want anything to do with you in their space. And they'll do anything they can to get you out. Yep.
Absolutely. Real quick, Jason, are you coming to Ashmore? It says, I can't wait for Ashmore State, y'all. I'm getting giddy. Are you coming? But yeah, it's true. And it's, some of the nasty human spirits. I mean, we've witnessed a lot of them but again, they were human spirits. They've walked this earth, the demonic have, they've never been in human form. So, and they can even come up as something, a lot of them portray themselves as like a demonic type entity because they can be just as nasty. They can get in your head. They can scratch you. They can push you down steps. They can do everything that a demonic entity can do. Pretty much. Except take
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I mean, your number one hardest one to get rid of is of course the demonic entity, of course. Because they've never walked this earth. So it's a little bit harder to get them to detach.
It's not a demonic entity. It's not just like where people see on TV where they go in and they do this exorcism. It's not like that at all. I assure you people. So I think, TV makes a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, it takes
glamorizes
it takes hours and hours and days.
Yeah. Just the Exorcist, the movie that we've all seen, is based out of here in St. Louis. And that exorcism took like 3 weeks,
Sure did.
To do.
Sure did. And we've talked about it before. It was so bad that they shut down that whole floor in that hospital and never used it again.
And to this day, it's an apartment building and that floor is still closed off. So what does that tell you?
Exactly.
Yeah. So everything good, Josh?
Yeah, just work stuff. We had an incident where a guard was not feeling well, and we had to kick the door in because he went in with the key, and it turns out he was hypoglycemic.
Yeah.
Oh no,
man!
I feel that.
Training the guy, and the guy did not. I mean, it's just I didn't want to get into it, and so medical condition I did not know of. Honestly, I thought he was doing something, you know what I mean? I was like, maybe this guy's got something wrong, like he's doing something, but that's what it was.
Wow.
Yeah.
He didn't tell us.
See, I have hypoglycemia, so I understand. I understand that. You have to treat it like you're diabetic in a lot of ways. I mean, you have to keep that food intake coming. You have to keep good food coming into your system. And as a diabetic, their blood, kind of spikes. Our hypoglycemic, we're at the other end of the spectrum where it just drops and falls right out. And then when that happens, we pass out. So I get it.
Yeah. Real quick, Paranormal Paul, yes, it was the Alexian Brothers Hospital, but now it is low-income housing, and that floor is no longer in use.
Isn't that amazing?
Mm-hmm.
That it went to low-income housing?
Yeah.
Do you think that it's because that nobody wanted to live there? That they were not going to make it with luxury apartments in that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not in a good area, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
that too. That's a lot of St. Louis, unfortunately.
When things get run down after a while, they do a lot of times turn into Section 8, and then
Yeah,
it becomes
that's what it
government
is.
housing. I deal with the housing authority
Yeah.
all the time.
That's exactly what this is, you know. And that's unfortunate because, you know, to me, like we were just talking, you know, like it's a piece of history. You know, that hospital is a monument in St. Louis, and now look what it's turning into, you know. Sad.
Yeah. Thank you, Nathan. And yes, you are absolutely correct.
Yeah, that's true. Addictions, anger.
Christ is key. Christ is key. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. For sure. What do you think like addictions are? Do you think they're from the devil, or what do you guys think that addictions are? Where they?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the devil's is kind of a, you know, but I think that evil it causes it. I think schizophrenia could be a type of it too, a type of obsession.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah. Yep. And anything obsessive is not good. I don't care what it is, whether it's good or bad. Anything you do to obsession is not good. You know.
If you live in an apartment too, which I've lived in a couple, what ends up happening, you get transient spirits too. Like
Yeah.
you'll have
I could see that.
something that comes through that's not your normal spirit, and it'll come through because you know you're not. It's not something that's there. Like, okay, I'll give you an example. There's another one. There's a guy named Aaron who got in touch with me, and he lived in an apartment down in South Austin. We met him through our patrol. One of our patrol girls, she went through there and she's like, hey, there's this guy who gave me a story. She's like, there was a noise complaint. Now get this. This is an interesting story. This is a ghost one. If you like ghosts, this is a good one. Unless you're Aaron or the lady that was being harassed. But his neighbor kept complaining that there was noise going on upstairs. There was all this noise, loud, like things being dropped and things doing this and doing that. And so she was calling and complaining, and the security was going up there, and they were knocking on the door. Hey, Martin Groves, how you doing? And so they're knocking on the door, and when they answered the door, when they went up there to get an answer, there was no answer. Nobody would answer the door, so he was getting written up. And our guards were basically doing a write-up saying, hey, noise complaint, and the person didn't respond. Now, at first, the guard, she didn't hear anything, but then a couple times later, she did hear something coming from behind the door. Now, this is really creepy. Get this. She heard somebody like sliding around behind the door, like when somebody's looking and you hear them kind of sliding, you can hear the clothing slide. And so she called the dispatch, who I'm really good friends with the dispatch from that, you know. And so she told me, she's like, hey, I got one for you. And she's a patrol captain, and she's been on my show. And she said, this is a really weird story. Check this out. So I was listening to this retelling, whatever. So I talked to that South Guard. This is a couple of years ago. And she told me the details of it recently. We kind of got into it, her telling us. And she said it was so bizarre. Like she kept going. And then the guy, Aaron, he comes back. And so then there's a noise complaint. You know, the neighbor was like really being kind of snooty with him or whatever. And he said she was downstairs banging pots and pans. So he calls the patrol and says, hey, my neighbor downstairs is making a lot of noise, and it's usually you can hear the upstairs, you know, more than people can hear downstairs, but she's making it a point to hit my ceiling and banging pots and pans. So he calls on her. Well, when the patrol comes, he answers the door. Of course, he's like, look, I don't know what her problem is, but she was giving me attitude earlier. Now she's making a bunch of noise down there. And this is ridiculous. I'm trying to sleep. I've been in Arlington for a week. And so she was like, does anybody else live with you? He goes, no, it's just me and my dog. And my dog went with me. And she's like, huh. She's like, because we had 2 noise complaints. One was like on a Tuesday. Another one was like on a Thursday. And you just got back. It was Saturday, right? And she's like, you just got back. And she's like, and then she's off on Thursday. On Thursday, she said the Thursday-Friday guard, which are her 2 days off at that time, reported that there was a noise complaint on Thursday. And he's like, that's impossible. I wasn't here.
Yeah.
So then she goes back and she goes, how often do you travel? He said, every other week I go to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And then she said that that's where it got interesting because they sat down at a table in his apartment. And she's like, she told me, she's like, he's a guy that lives alone. She's got a very immaculate apartment. And he travels for his job. And he stays up in Dallas-Fort Worth area, usually once a month, 1 week a month. But for that month, when he was getting the noise complaints, he was gone 2 times.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said that it was really weird that he was, whatever. And so she said, you sure you didn't have anybody like house sitting or anything like that? So she said, while she was sitting there at the table, the door like to the bedroom kind of went like it opened and closed real quick. And she was like, what the hell was that? And he goes, I don't know. And he goes, but there has been some weird stuff that's happened lately. She says, how long have you lived there? He says, 2 years. And she was like, never heard a peep from this guy. There was never any incidents that had ever happened. Nothing. And now all of a sudden he's dealing, there's this weird. So he goes, I'm not going to lie. That was freaky. She's like, he's not some like little wimpy, weenie guy. She's like, he's a big, tall guy. Like you can tell he works out. My guard says he's handsome. I was like, okay, whatever. She's like, he's a very handsome man. And I said, okay. So she said that they walked over there, opened the bedroom door. There was nothing there. And then she said when she was leaving, she looked in the closet even. She's like, do you mind if I look? He's like, go ahead, look around. There was nobody in the apartment, 1-bedroom apartment. So she leaves, and she says, and she looks up and she thought that she saw the shadow of a woman on the balcony. So she went downstairs too, and she knocked on the neighbor's door. Neighbor didn't answer the door. Next day, the neighbor says, no, I was visiting my brother in Selene at the military base. She's like, I was gone. I couldn't have been banging pots and pans. Mm-hmm. So then it happens again. And Aaron, who I actually spoke to, he goes downstairs and he knocks on the door and he's like, look, I don't know what your deal is, but the banging on my floor, from your roof, from their ceiling, has got to stop. I'm sorry if I offended you, but I wasn't here. I was not here.
Wow.
And she's like, well, that's bull crap because I heard you making noise and playing music and doing all this stuff. He goes, lady, I can show you the schedule for my work. I was gone. And he's like, and I know you're over here retaliating. And she's like, I did not bang no pots and pans. It's 11 o'clock at night. I have a daughter and she's in bed, She's like, and I've been living here for the past 6 months. And he goes, and yeah, and all of a sudden, just now, I decided to start. So then she was like kind of thinking, and she was like, wait a minute, this did just start recently.
Mm-hmm.
So they were comparing notes. So then the next day, her mother was there. And he's outside on the balcony talking on the phone. They come out and they look at him, and he's like, what are they looking at? And he was still it was a contentious situation. So he comes downstairs to get ready to leave. He's walking to the mailbox or whatever, and her mother stops and says, hey, I want to tell you that you guys have a spirit, and it's moving around between y'all's apartments. So then the neighbor, they were at the dog park. They have a little dog park, whatever. The neighbor was talking on the phone and was like, yeah, I think my apartment's haunted. And they could hear her talk. Well, he could hear her talking. Mm-hmm. So and she's like, yeah, I live downstairs. So she lives next door to the lady that was complaining. This had all just started, right? Well, get this. My patrol people doing their due diligence, they found out from the roster roll that the woman that lived on the corner over there had passed away. So she passed away, yeah. And it was weird. She died under mysterious circumstances. Right? It was weird. I'm not at liberty to talk about it. It's actually still kind of open.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Aaron told me the story. He said that all 3 of our apartments have been having stuff happen. And we don't know if it's her or something else because her sister that was living there, she just up and moved with her boyfriend. And then like a week later, this woman passed away. And the woman was not that old. So it's a weird situation. They don't know. They can't say somebody did something to her because they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
So then, because the apartment people weren't going to tell them, hey, somebody died over there, because they're not going to tell you that because they can't really.
Yeah.
And so I talked to the apartment manager over there and I was like, what do you think? And she's like, I think that there's something weird about that because, this person. And she said that when they went in there to show the apartment to another resident, the resident walked out and said she couldn't breathe.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that was weird. And so, and so just recently, I guess, I don't know how long ago it's been now, but I talked to him, and he was very open about it. He goes, dude, I don't know what to make of it, dude. It's weird. He goes, but I've had incidents happening. He was getting ready to leave, and he had the phone to his ear, and he was like doing stuff, that people do, we move around trying to get things done. He goes, and I go to grab the keys and they fly off the table. And he was like, whoa. And he goes, so my girlfriend was right there. And she was like, whoa, like they both saw that. So he's been comparing notes ever since with the neighbors. And he said in the last several months, and this was after actually like a month or two ago, whatever. So nothing has been happening. So maybe this spirit is at peace or it's moved on. I don't know what to make of it, but that's how these things, it's weird. This stuff happens. Yeah. We had another place. I could go on and on and on about the security business. We have a ton of things that happen. One of my guards has been saying forever that there was this place that's haunted. Don't want to say the name of it, but it's a parking lot full of big trucks. And now on camera, they have seen some weird things. They keep telling me to go over there and check it out or whatever. Bring your people. We want to be, And I'm like, I really don't want to go there and check it out because I don't want to bring something back, especially with the stuff we got going on here, which is sort of on again, off again. And I said, look, I don't know what's going on, but I'll take a look. So we looked at the cameras, and one of our guards got his vehicle broken into after this other guy had decided he just couldn't take it anymore. He didn't want to work there. So we moved him to another place, which unfortunately for him is supposedly got some stuff too. But he says over there he's had a couple things, but nothing like that other place. So the other guard goes there. He works it for 4 hours, and then he does the patrol, right? So at least that was the schedule. So what ended up happening, he goes there, he does the patrol, and he says that he goes on to do his rounds right before he was getting ready to leave, and his vehicle got broken into. Well, get this. When you look at the camera footage, the camera starts to kind of do this weird, weird thing.
Right.
Then when the camera comes back, his doors to his truck are all open. Like all of them are open.
Yeah.
So, you're going like, okay, so a thief came, broke into your vehicle, but there was no real break-in, right? It just somehow he managed to open the doors, or maybe he left the doors open. I don't know. I don't know what the hell he did.
Yeah.
And then it just happens that there was a glitch right at that same time. Like, what are the odds of that? So I was telling Anthony was there with me, and we were sitting there looking at the cameras, and I looked at him. I said, what do you think of this? And I kind of was just suspicious because the lady was like, well, this place is haunted, and I want you to, and I said, yeah, Miguel had told us that, But the problem is that, I told her, I said, I don't have any proof. And so we walked the grounds. I didn't see anything or feel anything.
Yeah.
And I worked it a couple times, but it's a day shift. At the time I did it, it was day shift, 4 to 8. So nothing happened to me. I just sat there doing my rounds and kind of getting hot. It was hot. Sure. And drinking water, and I said, this sucks. This 4-hour shift sucks. I've done 12 hours that were easier than that. But the guard was like, so I told Anthony, I said, maybe Miguel just wanted to get the heck out of it. I could say his name. He's talked about it openly. And I said, maybe Miguel just didn't want to be there. He said, it's not a comfortable place. Not comfortable. But then it paid pretty good, right? So for 4 hours, you can make what you could make in 8. For what they do, right? So it's an uncomfortable place, but you only got to do it for 4 hours, and 4 hours goes by in the blink of an eye. And so then you're thinking, maybe there's something to this. Now, I asked the guard that got his stuff stolen. I said, what got stolen? He said, I lost some cash. I lost a few other things. A wedding ring.
Wow.
Here's the weird thing. Get this. He calls me from home after the night of the incident. And with the morning, he got home because he had to go do the patrol right afterwards. He calls me in the morning and he says, you're not going to believe this. He goes, my money, my rings, all the stuff that was taken from me was all under my bed.
Wow.
And he goes, and I asked him, I'll call him Kay. I said, Kay, do you put things under your bed? He says, no, I never do that. Never. He goes, He's a very organized guy too. I know this guy. I've worked with him for years. Like I've known this guy for over 2 decades. He's a very organized individual, and so Scorpion told me too. Like he's like, dude, he's not that guy. That's one of his friends. He's like, he's not going to stuff things under his bed. You know, they were roommates at one time.
Right.
He's like, I was the messy one. He was very clean and neat, and he is. And so, but that's so weird. How did those doors, all 4 doors to his diesel truck, get open?
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, here's the thing too, like, you know, if it happens to some, but not others, you know, I believe personally, like if you, and I tell people this all the time, like if you give into it and you show your fear, like you know, Josh, you know, you're not scared of these things. You know, I think that it might bypass you, but somebody who's not used to these things and they get scared, they're a target. They're gonna be a target, and it's gonna play them.
Yep.
So yeah. Yep.
Joe, are you doing better now? Or are you still a pixel? You still pixelated?
He was back, and
Now every time we go to talk to him,
Man.
Joe, I think we may have a problem.
Joe, try to call in on the show. Call my phone. Just call my phone, and I'll have you up to the microphone, and you can say things.
Yeah,
you can say things.
Yeah.
Just call my phone.
He's gonna try that.
Yeah, maybe you can.
He was just fine up until you said something to him, and he was like that earlier. He was fine up until we wanted to talk with him, and then it's like it just went out. We call those gremlins.
Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding. No kidding.
Yeah. Just call on my phone. Let's see if this works.
Okay.
Joseph, are you there?
I am here.
Okay, there you go. Now we got you. We got you. Folks, can you hear him?
Yep.
So I'll just sit here uncomfortably holding the phone. We'll do all the things that you want to do. All right. So, Joe, did you hear what I was saying about the ghosts? I've had to do this on my show too, and everybody's like, "It's not professional."
I do it too.
It's a necessity sometimes.
Like, who cares, man? You know, it doesn't matter. There's 700 people in the chat, not professional, whatever. I don't think people care. Right. They want to hear the stories. That's what they want.
That's right.
Joe, what do you think of what I was saying earlier about the ghosts, that particular thing? What do you think of that? Well, did you hear the story, what I was saying?
I was in and out.
Oh, okay. So you didn't hear what I said. No, I can't repeat the whole thing. It's too long. Okay. But go ahead and tell us what you got. You guys, ladies, you got any questions for Joe? Because he can do a lot.
Well, he started telling a story about something, and then he said he was going to go smoke a cigarette, and then that's when we lost him. And I'm like, don't start a story.
Kill everything. They kill you. They kill your feed. They kill everything.
Right?
Yeah. Today I actually had I don't know, an event or whatever. When the lights went out at the shop, I was like, yeah, I guess I'll go smoke a cigarette outside and stand on the porch and, look at the storm. And when I went to go shut the door, like something literally tried to tug the door back. Like it wouldn't let me shut it. Like someone was on the other side pulling it out of my hand. Like, let me out too, kind of a thing.
Wow.
But, and the door, it's not like I work at a spot that has pneumatics on the door or spring door. It's like a regular old style house. So it has a regular old wooden door. It's not nothing that has any kind of attachment to it or anything like that. But I knew what it was because it literally made me flex. Like it made my bicep flex because it pulled so much tension. And so I kind of did the thing like you do when you're a little kid and someone that y'all are fighting over the door like that. I pushed it in, and then pulled it back, and it was the resistance was gone. And I was like, but that shop, it also has a lot of weird little things that happen there. You'll be sitting there and a pin will fly off of the counter, and I don't mean roll off. I mean 3 feet, just chunk itself off of the counter onto the floor. you know, and you're talking like pins that have caps, so it's not like it just rolled and built up momentum or anything like that. It literally, and you'll hear it's a glass shop, or you know, it's a smoke shop, so there's lots of glass, and it has a rickety floor, and you'll hear things walking around in there, and you can hear by where the glass starts shaking in the cabinets because it's glass on glass. So like it's like you could follow the footsteps almost. It's pretty tripped out. And I said that since I first started working there, and everyone's like, "What? No way! I've never heard that." And I'm like, "Dude, I'm telling you, there's something in here." You know.
Right. Wow. You know, I
It
think
sounds like it to me. Now, do you know any history of that property by any chance?
No, but it's in a very I use the word loosely, but it's like in the kind of like a hood spot in Bastrop, if that's hard to imagine. But it's a very negative spot. There's an old set of railroad train tracks by it, so that maybe, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, there have been accidents on the railroad tracks, and they're like maybe 2 blocks away, something like that. But the whole area is really gloomy. That's where like all the tweakers in Bastrop compile and hang out in this one big tunnel, and they live down there and ride their bikes all over the place.
And every small town is loaded with druggies now too.
yeah.
Are you talking about Bastrop, Louisiana?
That's Texas.
Oh, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
It's actually a pretty town if it wasn't, you know, the tweakers hadn't showed up.
Right.
Right.
You know?
But it's always been a notorious side of town. It's like literally on the other side of the river, on the other side of the Colorado on 71. It's right by the Buc-ee's. If you, Josh, you probably know where that's at.
I know exactly where it's at. I've gone into that Buc-ee's and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like right in between the river and the Buc-ee's, it's always been, you know, other side of the tracks type of a spot. You know, and it's not very far from where all the plantation houses used to be.
Oh yeah.
Because they were on the other side of the tracks, literally. Mm-hmm. So, like, probably about 3 or 4 blocks behind me is where you'll see one big plantation house for every, you know, three square blocks. You know, so you can tell where they kind of were. So I'm sure it's chock full of negative history, so to speak.
Wow.
Well, I wonder if, because they were having at the time where they were having the railroad killer way back in the 1800s, 1900s, that was in the Midwestern states that was traveling back and forth. They were talking about also a serial killer who was down running the South through Texas, Louisiana, and all that, using the railroads to kill people. And that's just what made me think of it, because I'd read this whole darn book. And they were talking about that there was a lot of bad stuff happening along those railroad tracks all the way through.
Yeah.
So I'm just wondering if that history is a lot deeper than just what's happening now, that if there wasn't something, you know, evil that happened before, way before.
Right.
That's why I was asking about the property.
Right. Yeah, I would be surprised. And, you know, like, also it's like right where, you know, railroad tracks are, which are synonymous with, you know, incidences like that. And also, you know, the highways right there. It's like, and back in the day, you got to, you know, when you think back, you know, that's where people would get forced off of their land. You know, like the government would shoo them off their land or buy them out. You know, there's always weird stuff with that too. Yeah. You know, anytime where they're like, you know, we're taking your land pretty much, or they'll burn them out of their house and, you know, cause them to forfeit their family's property.
Oh, probably. There's probably a lot of bad stuff in there.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. But I mean, that stuff, like the paranormal stuff, and I've talked to Wolf about this. It's been so frequent since I was a kid that, you know, it doesn't really bother me or doesn't really like spook me out, you know, but it just makes me go, oh, it's going down again. Like, here we go again. Who is it this time? What's going on?
You know, Bastrop is really known for Bigfoot in this area in Texas because the Lost Pines, especially before the fire. Well, the fire, I think, was in 2009 or something like that.
2011.
Right? 11? Okay. Yep. 2011. Like I said, when you get old, you're just like the other day, and that was like 2008.
What happened with the fire?
There was a fire that destroyed the pines, a big chunk of them anyway. And shortly after that, people were seeing there was an uptick in Bigfoot sightings around the locals. But there are people that were seeing them forever. And there's an armory there too. And there's military guys that have claimed to have seen Bigfoot, you know, when they're out there doing what they do. And it's been happening for a long time. My old partner, Armando, went out there and researched the Bigfoot, you know, encounters.
Yeah.
And they're pretty aggressive too. They were very aggressive. Lake Bastrop, somebody had one of them throwing like small boulders at their boat, literally from the shore. These two ape-like looking creatures. There's a story that went there from a friend of mine named Daniel who had told me about it. He's actually a guy that I've talked about when I saw the Dogman in Taylor, which isn't far from Bastrop. My friend Daniel Robles and me were walking to my friend Daniel Henderson's, and this was Daniel Henderson who told me about this weird story. When he was living there, he lived there until the fire. And we still don't know how the fire started, right, Joe? It just sort of happened.
Yeah.
I think in the end they blamed electrical pole or something. But if you actually look at the pattern, because that weekend there was a whole pattern, and it goes almost in a circle from Bastrop all the way to West Austin. So it looked like someone drove around the outskirts of the city, you know, of central Austin, and made like a big circle around it, you know. But there was a bunch of that weird sightings and stuff whenever after it burnt down, you know, because I think that they pretty much lost their coverage, you know, because that thing was huge. I mean, you could see it you could literally see the smoke trail. It went from the International Space Station. You could see it go all the way to like right around Corpus Christi. Like it went all the way to the ocean. You know, that thing was freaking huge. It was massive. And a lot of people, I was actually in Houston when it happened, and then I showed up coming back and basically drove right into it. And it was crazy.
Well, way to go, dumbass. You just drove into a fire. Who does that?
Well, I drove up, and you could see the smoke, and then they had the whole highway shut down. And I was like, man, I'm not sitting in this, you know, and I know all the back roads. So I was taking the back roads from Smithville all the way into Bastrop, and we were looking at, you know, like tornadoes of fire that were like, you know, 100 feet in the air. Like it was insane.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. But yeah, and if you really do think about it, you know, Lake Bastrop is not one of those modern lakes, you know, like, you know, is fairly modern. So that could be in a watering hole for Bigfoot for, you know, a long, long time. You know, and then you got the high forest right there, the pines and perfect coverage and water source and everything.
It was beautiful too. It's sad. You drive through there now, and still to this day, it's just a big scar of trees, and it's not like it was. I hate that when I drive through there. It looks bad. It was so beautiful as a kid. There were all these camps and stuff around Lake Bastrop. And if you went to church camp or Boy Scouts or whatever, that's where you went. I remember going to church camp as a kid and being out there and swimming and stuff. But now, it's all messed up.
Yeah, it was very depressing. Actually, right after the fires, well, not right after, but like 6 months after, we went down to go do a photo shoot for an album we were doing. And those photos to this day, it looks like post-apocalyptic. Like it's crazy. It literally looks like some some after the aftermath of the zombie breakout type stuff. Just
Wow.
scorched earth.
Wow.
So, Joe, let me ask you this: like you have talked on my show about, tell the ladies here about the hyena-looking thing.
Oh yeah, the hyenas. So when I first moved out here back in like 95, 90, about 94, 95-ish. Well, my parents moved out here first, but right when I got to that driving age, back then there's not much to do but, you're out in the country, you're a city kid. So, you get in your car and you go cruising. But there's this one section on a farm to market road, and it seemed like every time, about the same time of day, if you were going out and about, there was a family of hyenas that would be crossing this friggin'. And I never thought twice about it because I'm new to the country. I never, I didn't know that wasn't supposed to be a thing. So I'm like, wow, that's crazy. They got hyenas out here. And these things are big. They're like big, big, bigger. They're not little bitty things. And they got the humpback and everything is,
Wow.
It wasn't until recently that I learned that I wasn't supposed to be seeing that. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not a normal thing.
Yeah, and you would actually watch the cubs grow. They get bigger and bigger every time you saw them. And then, and then all of a sudden they just weren't around anymore. It seemed like a lot of weird stuff vanished at about that time. The horny toads and stuff, and because they used to also have, there was also these real big tarantulas that would be seasonal, and they'd just be covering the road trying to migrate or whatever. So
Wow.
it wasn't like an oddity. It was just odd to me because I grew up in freaking North Austin. I seen that. I never knew nothing like that. I just picked
Right.
up people. But yeah, apparently it wasn't.
Wow. So they had hyenas, just normal, like what we know as hyenas?
That's what they say. I mean, we've covered some reports. In particular, it's weird because, okay, here in Central Texas, I don't have as many reports as I do in the West, near Midland, Odessa, in the Permian Basin, for whatever reason. From the oil workers, they've told me that they've seen these hyena-looking creatures, but they look prehistoric. They're large. And then we get some reports going east. Once you start going into the thicket and beyond into Louisiana, you start getting reports of these hyena-looking, I don't even know if that's a word, but hyena-looking creatures that are very ugly, and they just look, but what I've heard about here in Central Texas so far, I've heard a couple of reports of dogman type hyena creature where they stand on their hind legs, but what he's talking about, just normal looking, like an African hyena.
Wow.
We've had a few of those. I had one out in Belton. There was one, actually, Joe, this is interesting. We got one on the other side of Reagan High School one time. Yeah, some kids were up there messing around. But they said it was back in 1998. And it's interesting. That's kind of a synchronicity because you went to Reagan for a while, right?
Yeah, sure did.
What kind of GAT did you carry up there? Was it a 9? Did you take a Tech 9?
That was a Mac 10.
Mac 10. Oh, you were packing. Okay. All right. That's what Reagan High School was. The Reagan Raiders, man. We beat them in the playoffs in football. They're that's a tough school. Them and LBJ were tough schools, but Johnston was like a nightmare school. They closed it down. It was so bad.
Yeah,
they closed it down.
We had a little thing with Johnston. We go and steal their cars and park them in the Reagan parking lot, and they come back and do the same to us. Yeah, it was kind of like an ongoing rivalry.
You're lucky that nobody got shot with that, because those people love them Johnston people, boy, they're rough. I used to box them in that area, Montopolis. But I'd be on the bus and I'd be like the sun, this ray of sunshine there, and they'd be like, "What are you doing on the bus over here?" And I'd be like, "I have my gloves." I'd be like, "I'm boxing," and then they'd be like, "Oh, okay." Because back then you fought, you didn't just shoot everybody.
Yeah,
so I knew I had hands, so they would leave me alone. And then some of them guys got to know me over there, Montopolis Well, a lot of people did, Montopolis Recreation Center. and they'd be like, "Oh, that's Wolf, man. He's got them hands, man," and they just leave me alone. Now, though, they'd be like, they look for a gun because everybody's a coward, and this new generation does not know how to fight. They just know how to talk a bunch of crap, run away talking, and then pull a gun.
Yeah,
It's standard procedure now.
Well, I want to back up a little bit when I was talking about serial killers, because I knew when he said Bastrop and I was thinking Louisiana, but when you told me Texas, I had to stop and think, because I'd heard something and I'd read it, and it was last year that they finally identified a female person from 40 years ago that was supposedly killed by Henry Lee Lucas.
Yeah.
So I knew there was a connection there somewhere. I was trying to think of it, and I'm like, I've heard it somewhere. And I couldn't figure it out. But that was kind of cool.
it's interesting.
Yeah. I believe, with all the interactions that they're talking about with, the people and just the total negativity in that place. How could there not be something bad floating around in there?
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, my mom was actually in jail whenever they caught up to him. He was in jail in Woodland County. And that was like all the buzz in the jail when they actually caught him before they sent him. They held him over there before they sent him on to wherever he went. I guess Huntsville, probably.
Yeah, probably. They said that he told them 40 years ago he'd done it. He told them. And then they didn't believe him. And now that they found her body, finally found her remains, and then they're like, oh, well, there might be a connection. And I'm like,
he admitted to killing a woman. He admitted to killing a woman in Rockdale, Texas, on the street where I used to live.
really?
And then they later said that he was lying, but there's no way because he knew all the details. I mean,
Mhm.
she was taken from her, like she lived alone, and she just disappeared. And he was there drifting. He was a drifter. What do you call that? Drift, prowler, drifter, whatever.
Mhm.
And he had been in Rockville doing handiwork, and that's how he would get in these people's houses. And he said that he did it, and I don't know.
Yeah, because it just makes me wonder, though. I mean, it's like, are these people maybe possessed?
Yeah.
Because they'll kill all these people, and he's saying that he killed hundreds of people, and he's just like, well, yeah, I killed them, and it's like, no big deal, I did it. And like you said, Josh, he explained everything. Tells you right up front, hey, I did this, and this is how I did it.
Yeah.
Do you think it's like so bizarre that people are not believing him, like in the police department or something like that? I don't understand.
I don't know.
One of the one true demonic case that I helped with, the lady was one of the survivors of the BTK killer, Dennis Rader.
Right. And she had that demonic entity following her.
Mm-hmm. She
To
was a
her
prostitute. She was a prostitute in Wichita, Kansas, and into drugs, and she had a rough life, and lost her children, and all kinds of things. So all that led to it, I believe. Everything.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I had a guy tell me one time I was talking to a friend of mine from Beaumont earlier, and he was telling me, it's weird. I had in one day 2 people from Beaumont. One of them is the guy I work with, and then the other one is a guy that I'm friends with. And it's weird that they're both originally from the same town. But one of them was saying that the police there one time, there was one that was a Freemason, and he was pretty high up, and that he told him that some of these murderers are actually not celebrated or whatever, but they welcome them in because they're doing a sacrifice. And they use somebody who's perfectly possessed or somebody who's obsessed on, and they use a sociopath to do it. And then the police just act like they don't know what's going on. Wow. And it has to be done like so many times, they do to get things done.
That's kind of scary, because you think about what, they're also doing in the G word, the 3-letter agencies too, with, these creatures.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot we don't know, and maybe they'll spill it, or maybe they won't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I use that Pastor Jack character to kind of typify the hypocrisy of the church and what they do. It's not an attack on God or Jesus or whatever. These are people who claim that they are God-fearing and Jesus-fearing. They're not.
Mhm.
And they're absolute hypocrites, and they use that. And that character is not, people say, oh, that's so-and-so, that's so-and-so. It's nobody. It's just a composite of hypocrisy, and it's just, I'm a really holy man, and just, I'm doing all this good stuff, and you're not as good as me. You're beneath me, and you keep giving me money and everything will be fine. That's that kind of mentality. But what you have is a dissociative personality who are leading. They're our leaders.
Right.
So you got to think about it. The people who have the voice that people follow and that are being led, the biggest problem is going to be the leadership. So the evil is not going to give a crap about the flock as much as they are the influence people. They're going to go after people that can influence you and take your mind to somewhere. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And so that's what they're going to do. And if there's someone in the flock that can be a rebel or somebody that can rebel against somebody who's doing good, then they get in there and they get their hooks into that person, and that person starts. Rumor mongering is the biggest one too. They use rumors, and then it just spreads like wildfire because people want to hear it. They want to hear this nasty talk, and then they just create a little cabal within the system, and it becomes like a cancer. It becomes a tumor. It's like they form a tumor, and if you don't cut it out and get rid of it, and it's happening in this community now. I'm at the I see it at the forefront of it. There's a whole cabal of people, not mentioning names or anything, and they have basically created a cancer, and it spreads. But it's not a surprise. These people, the ones that are doing it, have been doing it for a long time, and they've gone from conflict after conflict after conflict, and then they come up against someone who's not going to take their crap. They spin out and they say all kinds of ridiculous things to the point to where you'd have to be half brain dead not to see that this is coordinated.
Yeah.
But there is a higher authority that's doing this. There's a human authority, and then above that is a demonic authority.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why it's called Loshikari, and Christ talked a lot about the evils of Loshikari, and that's speaking the bad tongue upon fellow man,
Mm-hmm.
and that's also why he backed it up with whenever they're talking about the kosher, the law versus he's like, speaking of law, basically it's more important what comes out of your mouth, what goes into it.
Mm-hmm.
You can do a lot of damage. Not only that, but you're taking, whenever you're doing that, you're taking the spirituality of the Hasatan, that mentality, the demonic mentality, to have a forked tongue, because that's literally what it is, a forked tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And to place it upon other people, and so you're absorbing a negative spirit, and speaking it, using yourself as a vessel to speak it out, so now you're part of the telegraph wire, so to speak. You know what I mean? You just made yourself part of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Did we lose them?
Do we lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay.
Okay. I was like, oh gosh, don't say we lost him again, because I'm listening around me and all the storms are starting here, and I'm like, oh geez.
No, that was just the end of my point. Going, couldn't give him time for anyone else to chime in, because I do that sometimes. I'll just start talking, and like Josh, and before you know it, no one gets to talk.
Well, do you think? Well, Joe, I got a question for you. Do you think with all the drug use going on and all the illegal activities, illegal activities going on where you're at, do you think that that's leading to an uptick in paranormal activity?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think one hand, they both feed each other. Each hand feeds each other. So I think that the aura itself, the spiritual aura, causes the negativity, and then it reciprocates upon itself whenever it's being fashioned in the physical design. So, say you have kind of like the Amityville kind of a thing, right?
Mhm.
You have the haunted spot, which feeds into the human, which causes the human to in turn do. So it's like, it's evil manifesting into physical form and then remanifesting itself back into spiritual form, by the deed that it was done. So it kind of, it's like a snowball, I guess you could say, and it's weird, man, because that those places, that's why there's certain places in ancient Native American lore where certain spots you don't go, like that forest is haunted, or that section of the woods is just bad juju, or because evil might have worked its way into the minds of medicine men, and then they start using it for negative purposes, and before you know it, they're performing black magic, and then it scars the land, so to speak. So I think that once the dark side gets its grip on any whether it's open or like Capri Green, perfect example, like that place
in Chicago.
Yeah, that place just oozes evil. So much so that the gang that manifested themselves there used a pentagram. And you're talking about urban street kids. Why are they using a pentagram for their gang sign? So it's a manifestation on that spot, and it just works itself over and over. The never-ending symbol, figure 8. Just constantly, works its way into the earth, works its way into the minds of the people who are around there,
Yeah. And I understand. I mean, you've got to think of, they're calling what the fentanyl, the zombie drug or whatever. That's literally turning these people just like lifeless there, just standing or laying in the street or whatever. They're just ripe for the picking for a demonic entity. They're just, they're ready. They're just like, they're there. I mean, it's.
Yeah, I see, because I work right down the road from that tunnel where they all live and hang out. And, man, you can see it in their eyes. You can spot it as soon as they walk in the door. And I'm not just talking about because they're bug-eyed, because they're tweaking. Like, you can sense it. And then you can tell how long they've been by how their body's starting to react, and not just from the drugs, but it's like the demon taking over and manifesting the body into a different physical form. They'll look like lepers. You know what I mean? And they just, I don't know. It's kind of almost indescribable, but it's not. Like, the chick can be 24 years old and look like she's 70, literally. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's not just the drug that's doing that, because, I had my fair bout with my own substance abuses and everything, and do that for me because, I wasn't, spiritually lost, but if you are, then it allows the entities to get in and work you mentally and physically. And before you know it, you literally look like the production of, demonology. It's like the whole Exorcist thing. What that movie's not very far of an exaggeration from how it starts affecting your physical form and your physical look. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and eyes really do go black. I've seen it. I've witnessed it.
Yeah, it's crazy stuff.
You haven't seen my eyes shift into reptilian mode when someone speaks scripture?
I did. I saw a picture of it.
It was horrible. I was like this. I was like, it was. I got the underbite of a bulldog, apparently, and I whatever.
It's like you have to wonder how many times did they have to screenshot a video until they got that perfect one, that perfect picture.
Being that obsessed, though, Brandy, to sit there and you look at it over and over and over again until you finally got, there it is. There's the evil. There's the demon that we all know and hate. Get it done. Get her done. Evil.
That's why I wear my gold grill to hide my reptilian.
Yeah, you gotta be hiding it, bro.
Yep.
Yeah, I got to wear your mirrored glasses so they won't see those reptilian eyes.
I got to wear gold so I can keep the demon from changing me into something. I don't know. I think gold has something to do with it. They were saying something about that in one of the little things they said. That's why he wears that metal to keep him from. He don't ever wear silver. And then they said they heard me talking about how I'm sensitive to salt, so I don't like salt or silver. So there you go. That's proof. I'm a werewolf. There it is,
That's
right
it.
there, folks. Right there.
There. It explains everything now. Your story's out there now.
It's
What
done.
are you gonna do?
Can't do nothing, man. It can't be helped. Joe knows my secret. Joe's like, look, man, I am too, man. We're all in this together. He came with Bettina and Abe, and they had the black robes, and they knocked on the door, and they were like, "Come, for we are brothers." And I'm like, wait a minute, how is Maddie and Bettina? They're females. They're like, don't ask questions. Just get in the car. We got to go to the Satanic Hall of Secrets.
Get in the van.
You just get in the van. We got secret occult stuff to do.
The whole way.
Yeah. Now you're going to listen to Slayer for hours until you turn into, I don't know, whatever it is, the werewolf or whatever they're calling me this week.
There is a picture out there on Blondes and Booze, and it was a picture taken of a group of people, the brother of the wolf. We'll just go with that. And we took this picture because somebody said never trust anybody who wears a hat and sunglasses.
Oh yeah.
So we were always wearing hats and sunglasses. That's just what we do. It's just
we did. We took a group picture and all of us had hats and sunglasses.
Hats and sunglasses, so I don't see why we can't have an occult t-shirt,
Yeah.
Another thing too, man. I mean, like I believe in dinosaurs, so I don't. I got slammed for that. I was like, uh-oh. I told Ken the other day, I said, we believe in dinosaurs. We are doomed to hell. So a lot of things that'll get you doomed there. That'll get you there quick, though. The belief in them, they're dinosaurs. The world is only dinosaurs. We all know that.
Yeah.
Full of dinosaurs.
So all those bones they're digging up, them fossils and things,
those is put there by the devil.
Oh, okay.
Martin Grove says, I was in that picture with you guys. Love my sunglasses. He sure was in the picture with
He was too, wasn't he?
Yeah.
We were all in that.
Martin's got a book coming out, or did it already come out, Martin? I don't know. I know it was about the devil's backbone. I thought it was an interesting title because there's a devil's backbone down here in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, there's been Burt Wall wrote 3 books about it. I want to go out there with you, Breezy, and Abe, and maybe David Weatherly and Eric Palacios, and do some filming out there because we got to do it, man. I'm just like right now I'm slammed and I got to move because these people won't stop, and I can't afford to pay for a guard to sit outside of my house every night. It's gotten ridiculous. My neighbors had seen the weird vehicle, a truck, parked on, and I'm like, dude, you got to be really committed to stalk a workaholic. It's like,
yeah,
I don't know.
sure.
That is.
If you, not the filming part of it, but you guys decide to go out to the woods and go look for these things, holler at Brandy and I when you get time.
I will.
We'll come back to Texas. We travel, you know that.
That's right. I got my bag half packed now.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah. So yeah. Wow. This has been fun. We need to have Joe back on though.
Yeah, Joe, we're gonna have to have you back on. Because there's more we need to discuss. Absolutely.
Well,
Yeah, most definitely.
I had chit-chatted with Joe a little bit, and we were going to talk about some UFOs and stuff too tonight. So, we'll have him back, and we'll touch on that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
We'll just have to keep an eye on the weather that way.
This weather has been so weird, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was a little odd for its. I mean, like literally, they were just full grown like down trees, but and I'm like, dude, that thing's luscious and green and full of life, and yet it's snapped in half. But it's like one tree out of everything around it. I was like, man, something. Yeah, and it was coming down in like sheets. It was just crazy. And then it got freaking cold, like it got trench coat weather in like 30 minutes.
Oh, that's not good.
That's when the storms amp up.
Yep.
That weather change, that cold front comes in. Yep. That's dangerous. Well, we're glad you're safe.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Amy Amy says the weather's been wacko since the weird aura. Who knows?
Yep.
Yeah.
The Aurora Borealis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, we were able to see it here, and I think they said as far south as like Alabama was able to see it. So
Honestly, to tell you the truth, it started last month. I know that when I was down in Oklahoma and Texas there, that's when all those tornadoes started and just started slamming Nebraska, Oklahoma, and everybody. So it has been, it's been since then. And there's Tex. He was with us. So
yeah.
So I think it's just been bad. It's like you cross your fingers every day going, please don't, please don't, please don't.
Right. Well, hi, Tex. This is a nice surprise.
He's wearing a hat and sunglasses. I don't know if we can trust him.
I know it. I see him. Don't trust a man with a hat and sunglasses.
All right, brothers and sisters, let me tell you how it's going to go down. I come here to lead y'all to the Almighty from the oracle of my heart to it's speaking to me because I got a message from the Church of Dog Man.
You got to use $5 words and don't use them correctly. This epitomizes the laboratorial feeling within my solar plexus.
I'm gonna
give me money for these $5 words.
I'm pontificating my spiritualized Homo sapien brothers and sisters.
Yeah, exactly. I had a preacher one time. I argued with him. My mom and dad sent me to go into the church because when I got out of this treatment center with me and Joe both been, some crazy lady recently said his dad and his stepmother had me committed. No, lady, they didn't have me committed. I committed a crime as a kid and I got locked up. And so Joe knows how the system works. You're like, we'll behave. We'll go do our time in the treatment center because it's a lot better. They have better snacks. It's a better deal all the way around. Yeah. So you get put in the treatment center and then you get in a fight. They put you in the QR, which sucks, but you get out, whatever. So I ended up in this treatment center and there was this guy that would come there and he was a youth minister, right? And literally we called him Lazy Joe because he had a lazy eye. And we got that from the staff. The kids didn't come up with it on their own. So the staff would call him Lazy Joe and they thought he was kind of weird, right? But somehow he had managed to convince the people, I just want to come in and preach the word to the kids. And then he would pull up on you. He would do this to the girls, not the guys. And then he would touch their legs while he would talk to them. And I'm going like, how is this guy allowed to be around us, for an hour every Wednesday, Wednesday and Sunday. So on Sunday, you had to go, you could opt out. Wednesday, you had to do it was like a therapy thing. But Sunday, I would be like, Lazy Joe, that creepy dude. I don't want to be around that guy. And so I didn't want to talk to him, whatever. And he didn't like me. And he was telling this girl, and I'll never forget. I looked this word up. And he said, I'm trying to pontificate at you. So being a 15-year-old smartass that I was, 16-year-old smartass that I was, I go and I get a dictionary from the library and look up pontification. Today I learned the word. It's right for my 16th birthday. So he said it again one day. And I said, excuse me, Pastor Joe, because that was what we were supposed to call him. I said, Pastor Joe, let me ask you a question. What are you pontificating about? He goes, when I'm pontificating at you, I'm trying to learn you something. Okay, boy? He didn't like the boys. He was always interested in the girls. He would just be like, y'all boys, get away. Y'all are cramping my style. That kind of guy,
Right.
Y'all boys are bad. Y'all girls are good, and he'd always be like right up on them with his stank breath, Hey, I just ate cranberries and a pork chop. What do you think of that, underage girl? What you doing? I'm pontificating at you. And they're all like, get away from me. It was disgusting. So one day I told my mom about this guy. I said, she goes, who is this guy? She's like, he's weird. And I was like, he comes here and he preaches to my mom. I was like, what? So my mom kind of got together with a couple of other mothers and said, look, I don't think this guy should be around our kids. So enough people complained. So here's a true story. Years later in 1997, I was working downtown at a nightclub. Here's Pastor Joe walking down the street with his Bible. And my brother comes out, and we had just thrown this guy to the club, and the guy was like, he gets drunk every weekend. This guy Harold got drunk all the time, and my brother's like, Harold, go home. He's like, oh, come on, like he's gonna fight. He always does this. Then he sees this guy who I recognized from when I was young. I said, I know you. You're Lazy Joe. And he was like, Lazy Joe, but we had never called him that to his face. I said, well, Pastor Joe. He goes, oh, I'm still doing youth ministering. Oh, I got to do the Lord's work. And I said, yeah, so what's going on? He goes, well, I did a stint in jail. They claimed that I touched someone inappropriately. That was a lie. And he was sitting there telling me my brother, and Harold goes, Joe. He goes, Joe, you got any crack? And he goes, Harold, I done told you I don't smoke crack. I don't know why you think that. And he goes, because you sold me some the other day. We smoked it behind the building. I said, oh, my God. And I said, okay, well, it's good to see you, Joe. And that was at Charter. Joe, that was at Charter.
Wow.
So this is the guy that they just turned loose on the kids, because, it's like whatever. He conned his way in, and people believe that, oh, shucks, I'm a good old boy, blah, blah, blah. And he was there with us as kids. Now there were cameras and there was staff, but can you imagine if he'd have gotten his way, he'd have been like, I'm going to go back to the room and pontificate at these girls, like who knows what would have happened? Unbelievable.
I tell you what, I was as you mentioned, I was pontificating earlier when Mr. Breezy was having some issues. And ladies and gentlemen, it was not the storms. It was old man Stitch at work. It was the adversary, because we too close to the truth and he don't want it out there.
Yeah, it was the anal knockies that did it. The anal knockies they're a terrible thing. You got to be careful for them. They get in your ears and your other orifices, and they just come out as blasphemy.
Yeah, I remember one time, because I never liked the youth ministers, pastors. They always came off creepy.
Creepy, yeah.
And one of them, I remember he came and talked to me. It was weird. Like he actually came in my room, my actual room.
Oh wow!
No.
Yeah, and he was talking to me. And I was like, he's like, "Do you ever see anything? Like anything demonic or anything like that?" And I used to like draw pictures of Eddie from Iron Maiden, the album covers. And I was like, actually, I see this guy all the time. He was like, I creeped him the heck out, man. And he was like, and that was like literally the last I saw him. He avoided me at all costs. And I was like, cool. I got out from under his wrath.
Oh, my goodness.
His name's Eddie. I talk to him all the time.
Well, good people, listen to me, good peoples. I got to go because I got to go over and visit with Molly. And if you don't know who Molly is, come on over to Texas Front Porch, because we're gonna be teaching y'all about them Aztec devils tonight.
Are you going to be going live next or what?
Yeah, Monica Rollins' show.
It's going to go on after now, right? Oh yes, cool.
Yeah,
right
I'm
now.
super busy up until that point, and I was thinking, man, I'm gonna, and now I got to go out and do patrol early tonight, so that'll be good. I'll be able to listen.
Yeah,
Right.
so I want to encourage everybody when we get off of here to hop over to Texas Front Porch, and Monica will be going live.
Also, I want to publicly apologize to you because I had to go live on Monday. I'm trying to minimize stepping on anybody's toes, Tex, and I gave you an advance warning, but I felt like I had to do that because that was when Juan could do it. And I had overbooked with Blondes and Booze. I was going to have him on Thursday, but we ended up having somebody else on, Christopher Jordan. Mm-hmm. And so, but next week we're going to have Daniel Jones, and then the week after that, Jill Schneider on Thursdays. I'm trying to help.
Maybe the week after that, we can have Breezy back.
Maybe he can come back and talk and do, and do whatever. He can pontificate at us.
He can pontificate.
I'll exercise those sticks so he won't have any problems.
Exactly.
He can pontificate with the constituents.
With the constituents.
There you go. I want
constituents.
Constituents. Yeah.
I want to thank Gary Spikes. Thank you. Tex, thank you very much. Crystal McGee, thank you. Aaron's, thank you. Shelly, appreciate you. Werewolf, thank you, thank you. Two Shadows, appreciate that. Nathan, thank you very much. Liberty 1776, you're great. Same Sugar Britches, you are too. Thank you. Nathan Burr again, appreciate that. DJ Tyler Radio, thank you, thank you. Sheila, thank you. You're a new face, and we appreciate that very much. And Tex, thanks again. We appreciate that. Gary Reed and Donnie Cho says stuff. Thank you all very much. We appreciate that. All of that very much.
You always have a good evening.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'm going to run. I got to take care of work stuff here, you know.
Yep. Go work.
All right.
Go
Well,
work.
we'll see everybody tomorrow night at 7 p.m. with Bigfoot Michigan Rob and Paranormal Paul. So tune in at 7 p.m. tomorrow.
Is that Paul Anthony?
Eastern.
Yes.
Central.
Tell him I would like to get him on my show, too. I want to have him come on. And
Okay.
I'm willing to do his show because you guys vouch for him. So
Yeah,
I'm willing to do his
he's
show.
a good guy. He's one of us, Josh.
I turn down a lot of shows. I do.
I
I'm
know
not
you do.
bragging. It's just, you know what I do?
I know.
I only do friends. That's it.
Yep.
That's
I'll
right.
have him reach out to you.
Okay, cool.
All right.
All right. Good night,
All right.
folks. Got to run.
All right. See
Bye,
y'all.
everybody. We'll
All right,
see you
see you, Joe.
tomorrow.
Yep. See you tomorrow. Good night.